Peace, greetings to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Insights with Transformation Leaders. I am Dr. Azeeza Jalaludeen, founder of Go Global Business School. Today, I have with me Brenden Kumarasamy. Welcome, Brenden.
Pleasure to be here, Dr. Azeeza. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and it's really an honor for us to host you here. You are the founder of MasterTalk. Today, we're going to talk about everything that we talk about in life. That's going to be an exciting journey together with you. Friends, you must be tuning in and also invite your friends to come in for this live session that we are having, which is going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and our goglobalchannel.com. And at the same time, I want you to know that this young man that I met recently in Clubhouse has more than 60 years of experience in being a communication coach, and he's also a YouTuber founding the brand MasterTalk. And I just want to start off the conversation by asking you, what is MasterTalk?
Absolutely. For me, MasterTalk is a movement, Dr. Azeeza. And I believe that by providing accessible tools to help the world communicate better, all of the best ideas in the world would get shared. Think of every great idea in the world, but because those people don't have access to tools to help them share their voice and present with confidence, they're not able to share those magical ideas with the world. So MasterTalk is my expression to be the bridge between everyone's ideas and to help them get the confidence they need to deliver a message that really matters to people.
Wow, such an eloquent, presentation of the work. And I'm so happy that we are having you here to share your wisdom with us, because this platform is all about meeting great leaders like you and many others who have come onto this show, trailblazers who have made the change for themselves in their lives and creating results, inspiring others for the same. So we're so intrigued by the work that you do, especially going into Clubhouse, and the kind of milestones you've made there is very, very impressive, and the kind of people you network with and grow with. And you have created some amazing success for yourself with that. We'd love to hear from you on that perspective. What is the power of the voice? Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's great. I love the question. Yeah, for me, Dr. Azeeza, what I always believed is communication and voice is everything. It's not just about giving a presentation in a boardroom. It's every single interaction that you have with the people around you. Because part of communication is what we say, but the other part is how we say it. So how do we communicate a message? How do we be mindful of the way that we speak so that we can share ideas? And now the other piece of that is once we master communication, once we get good, it gives us the ability to amplify what we care about. Think of Steve Jobs. He's a great example of this. He has a great product, but it's his ability to communicate Apple's products when he was alive that allows more people to get involved. And there's always this constant theme that he always brings up in his presentations: reinvention. When we start the iPhone, we're reinventing the phone. When we're creating iMac, we're reinventing the laptop, the computer. When we started iPod, we're reinventing music. Apple's always reinventing. But part of that is not just the invention itself. It's how that innovation, how that great idea is also being communicated. So communication is an amplifier of our dreams and goals.
Wow. Amplifier of dreams and goals. I've never heard of this definition, by the way. And I've heard quite a lot of definitions of communication. Really, really impressive. And I just want to have this conversation take off to a whole new level. And I want to just zoom it in to communicating and voice being an important source of it. Before I get to voice, what other ways do you feel communication is playing a role in the world? And just to give an overall perspective to this.
Absolutely. The way I see it is communication is still as relevant as it's always been and will constantly be, but the format in that communication is changing. So in some cases, a lot of that communication is text. Some of that communication is through virtual presentations where we don't actually meet each other in person, but we still have to communicate in a way that's effective. And the other piece is how those formats are now allowing us to reach a lot more people. So 30 years ago, if you were an average human being with an average salary, an average place, you had great ideas. Your ideas could only get so far because you need access to capital, even if you go and speak at all these town halls and these libraries and these events. But today, what's magical about communication is if you can master in the correct format, social media like Clubhouse, like YouTube, or Zoom calls, like a podcast interview, your message is much easier to reach millions of people. And we've seen this with great examples like Jay Shetty, where he's racked up billions of views on his videos because of the technology and the format of that communication. So communications principles will always stay the same, but the format and how those ideas get communicated will constantly change over time.
Perfect. I'm so relating to you on that. And many people think that it's like always visually, because a little bit of people some of them are getting caught up with the visual part of it. And they think that, it's all about creating new attractive visuals, but technology and format for sure is bringing so much of change and so much of evolution in the way that people connect as well. And so now let me get to that important question, using voice for communication, which has, Clubhouse becoming the talk of the town. What do you feel about the way that communication is brought in this instance? And what are some of your tips for people using voice for communication?
Yeah, absolutely. What's fascinating about the rise of social audio, Aziza, especially in the context of Clubhouse, is now you get to communicate with your voice instead of text, which is a very different relationship that we had with social media up until this point. So what's fascinating about that is it gives us an opportunity to immediately build trust and rapport with people around us. So now with voice, instead of sending a video or instead of sending you a blog, I can talk to you directly on Clubhouse or an app similar to that, almost like it's a real conversation at scale. The way my friends describes this, and I agree with, social audio is intimacy at scale, where you're able to have real, honest conversations with 50 people, 100 people at the same time, and then that scales over time. So, what are some tips that I have in public speaking in general? So, one thing that's super easy that I always like to get clear on with people is the key to communication is momentum. How do you build small wins so that you quickly get really good? So one exercise that I have, and I'm happy to demonstrate if you'd like, Dr. Azeeza, is the random word exercise. So essentially all you do is you pick a random word, boat, camera, doorknob, basement, and you create a presentation out of thin air. And the reason this exercise is so effective is because since you're presenting something you have no expertise in, as you get better with the random words, when you get back to your area of expertise, those ideas are a lot easier to share because you have knowledge in that space. So that's an exercise I recommend everyone do.
Wow, wow, that's interesting. Can you just give me how does that relate to, like, example, when you say exercise? Can you give me a little bit more details on that?
Absolutely. So how about we start by demonstrating it, and then after I'll explain it. So give me any word.
Computer.
Okay. So for the record, Azeeza did not give me computer. So now I have to create a presentation. So here I go. It's Sunday afternoon. I'm clacking away on my keyboard, or namely my computer, trying to get my work done for the day. And as I'm finishing my work, I can't stop but think of how effective my life has become because I have a computer. 40 years ago, when we heard the word computer, it was this huge machine. And today, we have the power, the same computing power, or more, with the click of a button in our hand than we did with a big machine. And computers are the vehicle that allow us not only to share ideas, but to finish those ideas, to share them with different people at our fingertips. So the next time that you're clicking away on that computer, don't just get lost in all the work that you're doing, but be grateful of all the things you can do as technology unfolds. So that's just an example, completely random, right? You could have given me pineapple and I would have to do something. So what I want to emphasize for the group is do not compare yourself to me. I have done this exercise 3,000 times, and I'm not exaggerating that number. And it's not hard. If you do the exercise 5 times a day, which is what I'm asking the group to do, 1 minute, you do this for a year, you'll have done this almost 2,000 times, right? The other piece is, as you do these random words, Dr. Azeeza, what happens is next time you go into a boardroom that you used to be scared of, or you're worried about, oh, I don't know about this presentation, I'm worried. You're going to say, wait a second, I presented pineapple for a minute. I presented avocados. I know this stuff. These presentations will suddenly become a joke. And that's why you should practice this exercise.
Wow, I love that. And I know you relate to this so much. And I mean, like this also, I'm looking at it also practices on impromptu thinking and our flow of thoughts, that there will be a pattern to it. I'm just breaking that down on what you just did with us. And that pattern is just amazing. Wow. Can you give us a little bit of the parts that you brought in? Because it was, in Toastmasters, we call it the table talk, right? Conversation, table topic. So you brought that out very, very eloquently, because you ended with a pitch about inviting people to get into an action. And that's a powerful flow of thought. Do you have a breakdown of what you actually did?
Absolutely. I'm happy to share. So here's the first thing I would say to everyone listening. Easiest thing. That's why I keep it a word. In table topics, a sentence, or, I don't even complicate it that much. For me, it's literally just get into the habit of doing it. Beach, camera, lamp, doesn't matter if it's good. That's the first piece of the level of the exercise. Just do it over and over and over again. Because the more you practice, the more it becomes a muscle. It's like going to the gym. That's the first piece. The other piece, now we start to have some fun with it. Right? How do you make it more exciting? So when I coach clients on this, the first time, let's say we take computer, it sounds something like this. Yeah, so a computer is it's a machine, and well, at least they're doing it, right? That's what matters. Then number 2 is adding some seasoning on top. So same sentence, same idea. It sounds something like this. So a computer is a machine. It allows us to operate ideas. Same sentence, but the technique is better. And then level 3 is, how do you bring in moments, ideas, or emotion? So moments, ideas, or emotion into that speech. So I'll give you an example. Let's say I did this with you really quickly. You don't have to do the exercise. Let's say you think about the word park. What's the first thing that comes to your mind, Dr. Azeeza, when you think of the word park?
Nature and relaxation.
Right, awesome. So for me, it's kids playing in a park. So there's no right answer, but the
Yes.
key is everyone's going to give a different emotion, a different moment, or a different idea. But the key to the random word exercise is you want to follow whatever that is. So when you said computer, the first thing that came to mind was, oh, I work on the computer a lot on Sunday nights. So I started talking about it. And then I said, oh, but there's a bigger picture here because computers are this and that. And then I started improvising. So that's the way you want to start thinking about it. So level 1, practice, practice, practice. Level 2, just focus on the technique. Is your facial expression good? Or do you look excited to give? Do you look nervous? Right? Pick the right expression. And number 3, always follow your instinct, the moment, the story, and as you do it more, you'll get comfortable with it. You'll start to have fun with it, which is the point of communication.
And I'm surely having fun on this with you, Brenden. It's really, really nice to hear the kind of thought pattern that can go in. And really, I think it's the muscle that we work on, our brain muscle, to ensure that this flow comes out of us. And I think that's really, really fun and exciting. I think I'm going to practice something like that. And it's just so wonderful. So now I want to ask you, as we get a bit serious, normal communication to business communication. And I know you talked about Apple, which is really, really wonderful. Let's delve a little bit into that. How is business communication different compared to before, and how can we improve it?
Right. Great question, doctor. So here's the way I think about this. Let's start with the mistake that every single executive makes in their communication. The mistake is they think they can master communication in the boardroom, which is not true. You cannot work on your communication skills in the boardroom, and I'll tell you why. Every presentation is different. Every presentation you're stressed, and every time you're presenting, it's a topic that you don't really like. So how are we supposed to get better? Right, you're switching topics. It's Wednesday. Dr. Azeeza comes up to me and says, Brenda, I need you to give this deliverable tomorrow, so I'm working all night getting this deliverable. I get it done, and then the next thing you do is say, okay, throw that in the garbage. I got another deliverable for Friday in a completely different industry. So you're not focused on how do I talk like Tony Robbins? No, you just want to survive. So when you're surviving, you're not winning. So here's the trick to the way I do it is start with the extremes and go to the means. What does that mean? That means practice like you want to present like Tony Robbins, learn the techniques, learn the vocal varieties, all those things, and bring the techniques back into the boardroom. So do something you're really excited about, like you're really excited about Go Global. So you'd make a presentation on that. I would coach you on your technique, and then you bring that technique back into the boardroom. Here's an example of this. 2 executives, let's go through those scenarios. Executive 1 sounds like this. Good afternoon, everyone. Today we're going to be covering these 5 meeting points that we discussed. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. Professional, boring, nobody cares about what you have to say. Typical business meeting. Executive number 2, same context, different technique. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to be covering the 5 topics that we discussed in today's boardroom meeting. If you have any questions, don't be shy to reach out to me. It'd be my pleasure to serve you. Same context, same sentence, different technique.
Yes, fantastic. And I feel that that is what's lagging, and that's what makes business communication in a boardroom style of presentation very boring. I still remember, and it still happens much in corporate trainings where people will just be dreading to be in that room just to listen to someone and their PowerPoints that they will be reading out from. The presentation is everything that matters, and the engagement that people have with the audience is also a powerful momentum that needs to step in. I want to ask you, as we kind of coming to the last 5 minutes of the conversation, what is your take on the world becoming better in communication, especially for the younger generation? What do you think is the lag, and how can we adults support the younger generation to step up? Are you a self-learner, by the way?
Absolutely. I'm always learning constantly. Education is a lifelong journey, and you are definitely the best example of that, I'm sure, with the movement and the incredible work you're doing, Dr. Azeeza. But what I would say, let's break this down since we have 5 minutes here. Here's the problem with the education system. Okay. If we take out all of our kids, all of the presentations that they give, number 1, are mandatory. They don't wake up one morning and say, hey, Dr. Azeeza, do you want to have breakfast and present all day? Nobody says that. Nobody does that. Number 2, you never get to pick the topic. Here's something that never happens in school. What are you excited to present? What do you care about? Do you care about horses? Why don't you present? That's not how it works. We have to talk about the Renaissance. We have to talk about Shakespeare. And then the 8-year-old is looking at this like, what, Shakespeare? So they don't get to present anything that they like. And number 3, they don't have the resources to support them. Not the fault of the teachers. Teachers have a really hard job. There's 60 students in a classroom. They don't have time to teach people and the kids how to speak really well. But this circle happens over and over again, right? Over and over again, until every single kid has grown to believe, like we all do as adults today, that public speaking is a chore. It's like doing the dishes. It's like taking out the trash. So what I encourage parents to do with their kids is to make them dream more about communication, to see it more as a positive thing. And that's equally advice for the adults as it is for the kids. And that's why I'd love to end this interview with the question I ask every single person I coach that I'd love for you to ponder. And the question is simple. How would the world change if you were an exceptional communicator.
Mic drop. Oh my God. How will the world change? Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I think I'm like, there's nothing else to talk about here. And it's like, just go ahead and master your communication and really I gave you 5 minutes, you finished it in 1 minute. But I really, really love the conversation you're having. I want you to, as much as you've given us that powerful insights for this, it felt like so much of nuggets in this shortest period of time. I feel like it went past not just with fast, but so much of value you have given us. I still want you to tell us that advice or that tip that you feel everyone in, be it through voice, through video, whatever way they are doing, how can someone take it to the next level? I think that's what I can ask you.
Absolutely. Here's one thing nobody does. We all have goals for our health. We all have goals for our business, our finances. What about our communication? There's so many C-suite executives that I ask, I go, what are your communication goals? And they go, huh? What's a communication goal? I go, okay, so you want to be this big leader? You want to be a huge visionary? Any communication goals? They go, no. So my advice, if you want to take it to the next level, is start developing communication goals for yourself. That means write down a list of 3 speakers you really admire in your own industry and start studying them. Instead of watching Netflix for that hour, spend that hour watching one of their keynotes. Don't just admire Tony Robbins, listen to his keynotes, pay attention how he speaks, and try and speak like him. Don't just watch the greats, be great. So write down those speakers, study them, understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and that will make you better than 95% of the industry that you're in.
Fabulous. Fabulous, Brenden. Thank you so much. I feel like, just sitting down here and keep asking you questions, and you give it in such a flow, and you talk about being, asking people to master the talk. You are a master. You are having your mastery in it, and just amazing. It just shows the thousands of hours you've put into this, and I know for a fact that, you have clocked in thousands. I think, how many hours have you clocked in? What do you think?
Oh, if you put all communication together, definitely in the tens of thousands at this point.
Yeah, I imagine so too. Thank you so much once again. We really appreciate your time, your space, and all the amazing work that you do, and your heart to serve, how supportive you are for the community, for people to grow. I'm watching you, how you are showing up in Clubhouse. That's also the beautiful place that really shows us the demonstration of people supporting each other. And you've been a great supporter for Go Global as well. Thank you so much for that. Friends, if you're watching this, you must forward this to all your friends, and they need to hear this. The question that they need to ask: how will the world change when you are a master communicator? It's going to be really, really powerful. And you want to follow Brenden in his YouTube channel. As he said, he has already hit more than 10,000 subscribers. What's the number right now, Brenden?
I think it's 11,000 something.
Fantastic. So the link is on the chat box. You must connect with him and follow his YouTube videos, which is just phenomenal. Short nuggets and explained videos. I think it's maximum 30 minutes, but some of them are really, really short. Either way, they give so much of value. Be careful, you get addicted to it. That's the only, a warning sign I'll give you, because there's so much of inspiration in it as well. So thank you once again, Brenden. Thank you for joining us, and thank you everyone for watching. This is the session that we bring you all the amazing trailblazers who have been there and done that, made a change to the world. Today they are inspiring you, and I'm sure you're ready to inspire the world with what you have received. So thank you, and see you soon. This is Azeeza, a project of Go Global Business School. Bye for now. Thank you so much, Brenden.
Thank you.